Hey, good morning, everyone. It is Friday morning, and we don't have a Zoom set up for this for today, and this is normally where the Zoom would be inserted, but we thought we'd kind of just do a recap of how the week went for us, being the first week together.
Yeah.
As far as working day by day, and it has been a kind of a whirlwind.
Yes, it has.
But we've got a lot done, and you guys will see. That soon. But anyway, so what's your thoughts on the first week?
I think it's gone great. I think we've been super productive. I'm down here, and then my wife is here with me, Amy, and she's been productive, working around the property and getting stuff done, filming, and getting products stocked and everything. I think it's gone awesome.
Yeah.
It's a different schedule than I'm used to, which is kind of nice. It's pretty nice. But no, I think it's gone great, and I think it's just the beginning.
Yeah, and so what's going to change, I think what's going to change for you guys is a lot of these, like you've probably already seen, a lot of these videos are going to be, we're probably going to kind of film and produce them ourselves. We're going to get Vicky involved sometimes, but sometimes it'll just be us. I'll be behind the camera, and then we'll clip off the part where we're both getting in front of the camera. But anyway, I think a lot of the stuff will be filmed by us, and then we'll get Vicky in here when we can. But being as business, thanks to you guys, business is busy. Vicky and little Eric are concentrating on getting products out like on a timely manner. So I think it's gone really well. We've got a lot of side projects here on the property that have been neglected that Vicky or that Amy has been instrumental in this week. She's an organizational genius.
Yes,
she
is.
It goes beyond genius. She's a savant, let's say.
Good word.
Yeah,
We're
she's
speaking French now.
But so she's really helping us out that way, and so it's been really all hands on deck team effort, and we've got a lot done, and we got some really exciting stuff coming up. So,
yeah. But I do want to say some of the stuff that I'm filming. While Dad's carving and I'm behind the camera, it will get better. So this is kind of new to me, and as I learn a little more, it'll get better. I promise. So sorry if it's not quite up to Mom's quality of camera work, but
we'll get there.
Yeah, I'm an apprentice.
Okay, so we're going to go over a couple questions today, and for some of you, this is going to be a review, that stuff that you've heard in the past, but there may be some little tweaks to it, because again, we're always kind of upgrading and learning more all the time. So you may have and that's one of the things that we need to stress, is that always look for the newest information on any specific process, anything that you're looking for, because the old stuff, it may, even though it will still work, there may be an updated version that may work a lot better. Yeah. And so we're refining our processes and getting better at this all the time. Yeah. So one of those that we haven't touched on in a long time is the channel search. So on the channel search, I'm trying to get it to where there's no glare on there.
That looks good right there.
Yeah, so there's a channel search where you can search. Now, if you type in something up here and you want to search something on our channel, what happens is if you type it up in here, you're searching all of YouTube. And that can be really, you won't find necessarily our videos. If you want to search just our channel, you'll go to youtube.com, and then our channel is Old Dave 100. That's OLDAVE 100. And then this is just our channel search. So if you click on that, just click it, and then you can type whatever you want in there. If you know the number of the video that you want to look at, you can type it in there. Number 265, if you know what number you're looking for. Or you can type a subject, sanding, or inset letters, or outset letters, or background, or whatever. So you can type that in that window that comes up there. Then it searches just our channel.
Right. And like Dad said, make sure that when you, whatever keyword you put in, whether it's sanding or layout or whatever, always check the latest video first.
Yeah.
Right? You know, if you got one that's 4 years old and then you have one that's a year and a half, that's the one basically that we're doing, the newest video, because like Dad said, we're refining and learning constantly.
All the time. And in case you guys don't know, it's in case you're new, we've got currently to date on something over 1,600 videos. So there is a lot to look through, and if you want to try and narrow that down, go for the newest information first.
Yeah.
It's all still workable, but the newest information is the probably the best answer that you're going to get. Now, what if they're searching on a smartphone?
On the smartphone, you go into your search tab, and then you just put Old Dave 100, and then your keyword or your video number or whatever.
Right.
Because even if you go to the channel and hit search, it doesn't search the channel itself, it searches all of YouTube, and that can be pretty overwhelming. And if you want to search just our channel, then you put Old Dave 100 and then your keyword, and it'll narrow it down quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and that seems to work really well. So, your screen will look something like this, but obviously a lot narrower. It'll be, squoze up. Technical term is squoze.
Squoze up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so then you want to type in Old Dave 100. That's the YouTube channel, Old Dave 100, and then the subject that you're looking for, or the number. All right, enough of that. A couple questions from a new guy. I think this guy's name is Brian. Brian is fairly new, and again, this is going to touch on stuff that you may have seen before, but we've been getting a lot of new subscribers lately, so which thank you so much, you guys. Yeah. We so appreciate that, but we've been getting a lot of new subscribers, and again, there's a ton of videos to look at, so in case you haven't run across them yet, we're going to touch on a couple things that is really critical. So Brian asked, why do you use only flat or matte primer or ink? Is satin okay? Because I ordered a couple of cans of Marsh ink and I think they are satin. So unless Marsh has that last part of that, unless Marsh has changed something, I have never seen a Marsh ink that is satin. It is it's always flat. Or matte finish. It doesn't even say. But this is the Marsh ink that we've used for decades. I mean, probably 40 years we've used this Marsh ink, and I think it's flat or matte finish. I don't know if they sell a satin version, but if they do, my suggestion is go with flat or matte finish. Now, if you're using something other than ink, and this stuff can be kind of pricey, so an alternative that we've been using for a long time is the primer. And this is just a Rust-Oleum primer, and it can look like this, or it can be a can that kind of looks like that just says flat primer on it. But this is the same stuff. It's just sold, I think it's the same product. It's just sold mostly in automotive stores. I might have gotten this at Walmart in the automotive section, because sometimes it can be kind of tricky to find. Or you can order it online. But this is definitely a matte finish. And I'm going to get it. And so another version of something you can use is a Krylon Fusion, and this is, but it must say matte, and this is a color. Obviously, this is blue. So here's the reason why. There's two different main reasons why we use a matte or a satin, matte or a flat finish. Is because if it has a gloss to it at all, then number one, it can bleed into the board. And that's using any kind of material, it can bleed, especially if you overspray, which you don't want to do. So you want to be, and there's videos that we have on that. And I'm going to refer you to another video here too. And the second reason is when you're sanding, it will load up your belts or your discs, depending on what you're sanding with. It will just load them up. It will stick, and you'll go through. If you're
using satin.
If you're using satin,
right,
or semi-gloss or gloss. And what happens is the matte or the flat finish tends to just kind of dust up, and it doesn't load up and gum up on your belts or your disc. So those are the two main reasons. Go and watch this video that my dad and I did a few years ago, Senior Moment episode 18. So like we talked about the channel search, go just type in Senior Moment episode 18 and you'll see a big long video that Dad and I did on this process. But anyway, so as always, if you have questions, let us know. So next question.
So the next one is Brian. Brian?
Yeah, Brian. Same
he said, I bought Americana spray sealer, clear matte. Hope that works. What kind of sanding sealer or spray sanding sealers do you recommend, and when in the sign making process do you use them? He said, I found one video where I believe you said to always coat your board with sealer before spraying the layout. So, and then does spray lacquer work the same as sanding sealer? So the second question is yes. The last question, does spray lacquer work the same as sanding sealer? Yeah, pretty much, because all you're looking to do is to seal up the sign so the ink or spray doesn't bleed in. But where he says, I found one video where I believe you said to always coat your board with sealer before spraying the layout. Mainly, we do that on pine because pine bleeds really bad. I made a sign one time and forgot to do that, and it just bled too bad. I couldn't sand it out without destroying all the carving, so I had to redo it. But pine is the main one that we use, sanding sealer or the spray lacquer to seal it up before we lay them out. Now, we used to use... Before we lay them out, or before... If you're doing a layout, doing a different process, and guys, we're trying to find our cadence here, so we're going to be going back and forth because that brings up a thought. So if you're doing layout using the black spray, then so you want to pre-finish any pine that you use before. Well, I say pre-finish, but seal up. Before you ever hit it with black. That's the most important thing. Because if this gets on that bare wood, especially on pine, that's where your bleeding will take place. Right.
I'm sorry.
Right. No, that's fine. So we used to brush on. Can you guys see this? Yeah. We used to brush on sanding sealer before either the layout or before we'd spray it at any point, whether it's doing the edges or whatever. But now, Dad found that using the clear coat and just spraying, 2 coats?
Yeah, I normally put 2 coats.
2 coats, just with clear gloss. It does a really good job. It sands off a lot easier, and it still seals it up. And again, that's mainly for pine. Now, if you have a heavy hand with the spray, and you haven't got quite gotten that light touch yet, even on cedar or redwood, if you spray too much and it puddles up, it will bleed.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing, is once you're ready to spray, is to get that light touch and try to put only enough on there where you can see your lines.
Yeah.
Or cover your background or whatever. You don't want to puddle it up. You don't want to overspray, because then no matter what board you're using, short of maybe oak or something really hard, then it's going to bleed. But if you got a decent hand at spraying, then the only thing we use the sealer on before we lay out is pine.
Yeah.
That's about it, because that stuff it carves real nice most of the time, but it's soft and it'll bleed in pretty bad.
Yeah, and there's just something about it. Maybe it's the vanilla color. So you guys, depending on where you're at, you may have some boards that are like pine, maybe a Douglas fir or something that you're using. But if it's that light color like that, you might want to do some experiments before you try it on a customer sign, just to make sure that you're not going to have a bleeding issue. But if you don't, then and you keep that light touch with that black spray, like Ryan says, then chances are you're not going to have any issues with bleeding or gumming up your sanding belt. But pine is the only thing that we use that we find we really need the sanding sealer or this. And another way you can, that if you've got a lot of boards, like if I have 4 or 5 pine boards that I want to pre-seal up, I'll probably use my critter gun. will be cheaper than using this. But if I've just got one board, then it's real quick to grab this spray lacquer and just do it real quick. In 60 seconds you can have it done. Whereas it takes longer if you're using the critter sprayer. But if you're doing a lot, then the critter sprayer is the way to go and cheaper probably.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, as far as what kind we use, like this is good as far as a sealer. Pre-sealing the pine, and it's good for a clear finish once the sign is done if it's going to be indoor. So like here during your summers in Arizona, I mean that sun beats down. So we use mainly the Helmsman spar urethane.
Yeah.
Right.
Or Czar.
Or Czar, right?
You use Czar, just depending on what you want. The Helmsman is an oil base, the one we have. Although they make a water base, but I've never seen the water base here. But I know Frank down in Texas and different people use the water base Helmsman, and that's what I would use if I had availability to it. But I haven't even seen it here. So we use the oil base Helmsman, but it does have a kind of an amber color to it. If I want a clear color, I really like the Czar water-based exterior polyurethane, and it's so much easier cleanup because it's water-based.
Yeah.
So
I mean, as far as like the Americana spray sealer, I've never used it. You've never used it?
Seen it.
So that's something, just to give it a shot. Like if that's all you have available to you wherever you're at, then try it out. There's a lot of things that have a lot of variables. Like for instance, I have up in California, I have a different wood selection than you have down here. Even though we both go to Lowe's, different places have different stuff. So as far as what brand and what type you use, try what you have, and Amazon, man, you can buy anything on Amazon. So that's what we use. And another thing. I was looking up some stuff, and a lot of people don't realize that, no matter what spray you're using for a sealer or for a finish, one coat is generally not going to be enough. What do we usually put? 2 coats and then sand with the 120 real light and then another 2 coats. I mean, the more coats you put on it, the shinier look you get. And the more protection you get, the longer it'll last.
Yeah, and even if shiny is not what you're looking for, because a lot of people like the satin look as far as an exterior finish or a final finish. A lot of people like the satin or the semi-gloss or whatever, the matte finish, whatever. The more you have on there, the better, the longer it's going to last.
Yeah.
If it's interior, it's not that big a deal. We like gloss, but again, you might not like gloss. For us, we like 3 or 4 coats because that's where it really builds up and you really get a nice sheen on there, a nice gloss. But the other thing is too, when you're sealing up your board, so if you've got a piece of pine and you're sealing it up and with this or with sanding sealer, and then you're going to do your layout, after this stuff dries, give it a couple of coats of this. Only 1 coat of sanding sealer is all you need. Then hit it really lightly with a piece of 120, because anytime you add finish or moisture, any kind of moisture to a bare board, it causes the grain to stand up, and you'll get a better layout if you just lightly sand. You don't want to sand the stuff off completely. You just want to smooth it out, just really lightly with a piece of 120 by hand.
Yeah,
Gosh, it makes just keep going on
and
on and on.
Sorry, this is running a little longer than we thought, but it knocks everything down. And it makes the layout nicer, and it makes carving a lot nicer too. That base, the base that we make, it slides so much nicer when you have just a flat surface as opposed to the. I think of it almost like goosebumps.
Yeah.
When the grain raises once you introduce the sealer or the finish to it. Knocking that down with some 120.
It looks the same, but then when you you rub your hand across, it's almost like shark skin.
Yeah.
It just has a almost like a microscopic texture to it, because it really does. It's causing that grain to stand up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just slides better, and it carves better, lays out better.
Yeah.
It's
all get a sharper line when you're doing your layout.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Gosh, I guess we babbled on as much. We got to, and so you're seeing this on Friday morning. Tonight we will be doing a live And we may be going live on YouTube and Facebook. That's what we did last time we were here. It didn't work out too well when we were in California, but we have the Starlink internet set up here, so we'll probably be doing it live here tonight on YouTube and on Facebook.
Facebook or Instagram?
Instagram, Facebook. I don't know.
One of them.
Yeah, one of them. Yeah, one of them.
Neither one of us are too good at the social media stuff, but we're getting better.
We're trying.
Yeah,
we're getting better.
We're working on it.
Yeah. So anyway, if you have any questions, guys, email eric@makeawoodsign.com. We're happy to answer all of your emails, and I guess that's about it. Hope you guys are having a great week, and hope we guys see you tonight. So it'll be 6 o'clock Mountain Time. So Mountain Time, because we're in Arizona, we're on Mountain Time right now. So 6 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time. Look for us, and we'll see you tonight.
All right, guys. See you tonight.
Bye.